I thank you for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few moments with me looking at the story of Jesus as recorded in the Gospel of Matthew. We will be looking at Matthew chapter 20 and just one verse, and I'm going to be reading verse 28. Matthew chapter 20, and this is the New Revised Standard Version. Just as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and give his life as a ransom for the many. The model for all Christian leadership is found in this verse. Now, when we read this verse, we'll see right away this is a verse that is often used for a statement on Christ's death as the atoning sacrifice. Jesus clearly sees that he's going to be the ultimate sacrifice. There will be no more bulls or goats offered up, for there will be no need to offer up bulls and goats for the sins of the people. There will be no need for a high priest to enter the Holy of Holies. And the words of the book of Hebrews, he did not enter by means of the blood of goats and calves, but he entered the most holy place once for all by his own blood, thus obtaining eternal redemption. Hebrews 9:12, the New International Version. Jesus' atoning death provides the atonement that each of us needed and must have. And note, as an aside, this will mean the end of the need for a temple. When we say this verse is about leadership, we do not want to minimize its importance as a statement of what the atonement is. You see, leadership is understood in the church through the lens of the atonement. What we're saying is you do not have a proper grasp of Christian leadership if you do not have a Christian vision of the need for atonement. Now, understand, in the history of the church, there has never been universal agreement on one theory of what the atonement is and is about. Any Christian group that says this is it, and if you don't believe is not Christian, is not being true to the Christian heritage. So, when that is said and done, we are not going to say that one theory of atonement is the theory. But understand, there is no understanding of Christian leadership unless you see the necessity of Jesus dying for the sins of the world. You see, you cannot understand Christian leadership unless you begin with that point. So the atonement will define Christian leadership. It defined the leadership of Jesus and will define the leadership of those in the church today, whether they are lay people or clergy. The question that follows from the above paragraph is, why is atonement important, in particular important for leadership? Is it like one of those things your parents used to yell at you as a child to do when they wanted you to do something and you asked why and they said, because I told you so? The point we are making is that the very act of Jesus' atonement gives us a sense of how leadership is fundamentally different in the church. Jesus did not simply work hard. Jesus did not simply work 12-hour days. Jesus demonstrated what he believed and how he loved his people by pouring out his lives for them. In other words, leadership in the church that exists on any other level than this is blasphemous, for it does not take seriously what Jesus did. Jesus is our gold standard. Jesus goes to the cross because Jesus understood that this was necessary. And what we are saying is if Jesus, by his leadership style, counted everything at loss for embracing the cross and going to the cross, then any understanding of leadership that is not willing to pour out our lives and do what is necessary regardless of the cost is not Jesus-style leadership. In politics or business, And sad to say, even in the church, there are leaders who are gifted, competent, for whom leadership is ultimately about them. They can put on the right facade. They can offer up the right words and phrases. They can create the right look. People may even gush over how great they are. Yet if we were to peel back the layers, we would discover that they are people for whom leadership is ultimately about them. It is about the stock options. It is about the book deal. It is about the wage. It is about the titles and honors. Jesus raised the bar on what leadership is about. If he could die to make the kingdom of God come to be and go forward, how can we who aspire to be leaders in the church do any less? You see, any idea of leadership in the church that does not take seriously the need for us to die to self and to die to ambitions and to die to our goals and to die to our self-fulfillment is not godly leadership. What we must die to is to die to all that is important to us and important to leadership in the world so that his kingdom may go forward. This is the standard for Christian leadership.